Well, I decided to pull in the reins, if you will, for my public story. And I'm going to go in and write it from my heart. It's easier for me to be completely honest when I can do so without judgment. Judgment is felt, and not a lot gets done in a world where we're all pointing fingers and disbelieving in each other, divided amongst each other. It would be difficult to believe my story. And in all honesty, I don't think I'm here to convince anybody of anything. I'm just here. Je suis. I am. Like we all are. And right now I want my focus to be on learning French and seeing where my life goes from there. I know I'm in a protected house, and I know that what's going on outside of me is going to come to a head eventually. But it's not up to me to fix it or to save the world. Not today. Not today. Maybe in 10 years or so. But I'm going to continue to enjoy my life and my senses, because that's my right and my sovereignty, is to enjoy my life. And you can too, no matter the circumstance. You can enjoy your life. People adapt and they adjust to new ways. And I see that I found out that in 1968, the World Economic Forum has been educating students. And that's a divide again here. And I can see it, the divide of the millennials and baby boomers, their grandparents, right? It was bound to happen. They've been dividing parents all along with this divorce. They've normalized things like divorce. But if you sit down and think about it, there's nothing normal about it at all. Yeah, I'm very sensitive to the reality of what we have become. I was blessed to see my movie Before I Die. And I highly recommend people become self-aware of their fantasies, because they're not hidden. And to come to terms with their loved ones who have passed on, because they didn't die. We don't die. And they can feel your love or not. Can they recognize your love? Or did Hollywood take you away and make you think love was fickle? So I was at the Value Village a couple of weeks ago, and or maybe months ago. I found a brother typewriter, and I learned how to type on a typewriter, not a computer, and I just wanted that feeling again, when I was young and stupid and ready to learn how to be a robot in the robot world. But I enjoyed typing, just like I know I'm going to enjoy playing piano when I learn that. But I got this brother typewriter here now, and I think I'm going to go back into myself, like I encourage all of anybody viewing me is to go back into your childhood, go back into yourself and do what please your senses. And it'll please my senses to type my movie out before I die. My story. And every twist and turn and connection. It's a fascinating story that I can't put down myself. So what am I going to do? I don't want to put it out there anymore for the universe to mock me, to say, no, my imagination isn't allowed and I can't come up with things like that, stories like that. No, that's not what we all learned in the Bible. And you'd all have good company together mocking a mother who lost her son. And then it's mocking to have pity on me too, by the way. I got another pity comment earlier. You know, you project yourselves onto others when you judge. There is nothing in my story that would pity me. I am blessed. I saw my movie. I saw what the scriptures in Hollywood have done to humanity for 2,600 years. I saw we don't die, that we're repeating our histories over and over again. Exactly the same. And the ones that can move on from their stories are the ones that can emotionally move on from them now. In this consciousness, can you record? Can you drop the ego story and remember who your loved ones are and what they mean to you in your story? Because I believe I talk to the people that are dividing, and it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch people go down in such a circle. And life can be so much different. I noticed that watching BitChute, it's all terrorism, guys. It really is. There's nothing good about it. Watching what could happen here. Why don't we wait until it shows up in law? Because we can manifest from our imagination of fear. Why not manifest from the imagination of love? That's what I plan on doing. Setting my goals and manifesting from love. Enough fear. Like, what's to fear? We don't die. Let's start there. And we're only going to repeat our histories until, it's one more role to take too far. And that's how I feel. People are taking their roles too far without conscience, without the first sense, your sense of emotion, the one you're born with, of love. Remember that sense with your mother. That is love. Go back to your first memory with your mother. If you can, if they didn't take her away. They took my mother away. But what artificial intelligence doesn't know is emotional intelligence. And I heard my mother crying on the other side. I heard her emotionally. I felt her. Because we're twin flames. And because life is not so fickle as they have us make out to be. And we die and we realize what we have done to our loved ones. We know. And we immediately want to come back and we change roles. We change emotional roles. There's so much in my story I have to keep to myself, and so I will write it in secret. And that's what I want to tell you, that it doesn't matter as long as I put it out there. It doesn't matter what happens to it. It's out there in the consciousness here. And that's what we want to do, is bring more perceptions of consciousness here beyond what we've learned, because we've learned lies, lies, lies. You have to understand that we've been learning lies and go from there. So I'm probably not going to do very many videos. I just don't have the energy to focus on this anymore. I would like to focus on learning French. I wish everybody the best, and that they can find their way home emotionally. Realize that the first sense Aristotle didn't give us is the only one we need to survive eternity. It's our light. Emotion is our light. It's the light. And those little beams in your pupils are recording your story, your movie. So be aware of your own movie and your own story. Never mind my story. I had my, you can go back and watch my videos if you're interested in seeing my story. But I don't like repeating myself, in all honesty. It starts to feel like propaganda. And I just kind of want to leave it there, now that it's all out. And I'll move on and do whatever I want to do here for my human senses. Because that's the only thing that matters, my friends, my human sense of love. And right now I can share my bread and soup with my neighbors, but I can't communicate with them. And I think they'd appreciate that more if I could. So instead of focusing on saving the world, I'll focus on saving myself here, learning French in Quebec City. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Thanks very much to my subscribers for being here and believing in me, and those have given me encouraging words. Not afraid to stand by me after I reveal such a laughable story. But I assure you, every word of my story is true. And you will one day learn that we do pick our roles. Anybody tell you any different? That this is a playground. And you are playing it. You are in the movie here. And you're recording your bit, your part. Emotionally. You may not be aware of that. How important your emotion of love is over fear for a good outcome in your movie. Doesn't matter what anybody's doing out there, what they're doing in Hollywood. It's so horrible. I can't watch TV anymore at all. It's horrible. I go to Netflix and I try and find there's some good programs there that, even though people mock Netflix, I think that they mock it because there may be some good things in there. Whatever they're mocking, I'm going to go and take a look. And there's a lot of international movies in there that people in the West may not be aware of. What's going on in other parts of the world. Pretty ignorant about that actually all the time. So I did a couple of videos in the last couple of days, but I was just so enraged. I just deleted them. I felt, and enough rage, enough fear, enough shame. It's time just to own my own story, and you own your story, and do with it what you will. You can put it out there in any way you can, or you can just go into yourself and use your human senses with the emotion of love for the first time. Imagine that. I bet your music would be better, your cooking would be better, your art will be better if you take your time and you do it with love, as if it matters. Whatever you're doing matters. Imagine that. I remember my grandmother, speaking of reflections. I have a picture of her in Norway, or I have a picture of her and I together, standing together, and I'm in front of a mirror, and it's a sort of a symbology to say that I am a reflection of my grandmother. And so perhaps you are too. I'm trying to reach out to not have you look at my life and my story as so many do, but to go inside and look at your own. That's a good idea. Just try to find that picture. So, and twin flames too. Like I know my father and my son were, so that's grandfather and grandson were twin flames. So it could be brothers as well, siblings. These relationships are you could take a closer look, and probably the ones that you hate the most and argue the most with are the twin flame. Always. I bet. Look at my story, right? I wrote the book Evil Eyes, the daughter's memoir, and it was all about my mother and how evil she was towards me. Well, that's my twin flame, now come to find out, right? So you better learn to become humble if you're going to become Christ conscious. I can. So let me just see here, Grandma. There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to keep cooking and enjoying my life. I probably have 100 years, I've told. So here, let's see, can you see that? That's me and my grandmother. And that picture is me in front of the mirror to show that I am a reflection of my grandmother. So don't judge your grandparents, and love them with all thy heart and all thy soul, your parents and your children. They're your kids, and they're your Christs, your children are. And believe it or not, parents, you're Lord to your child. You are. And if you betray that trust that your child has in you to keep them safe and protected, you could be breaking bonds that you didn't intend. And that's what happened in my story. I saw what happened to my son behind my back. I saw that all the emotional times I was denied, that I was told I was imagining things and reading into things. I felt it. I was there again. And I'm a witness to tell you that you want to find out before you die the truth about life, the truth about your loved ones, the truth about you and where you feel you fit in to this show. What part are you playing? Are you going to be proud of your part that you're acting? Because everybody's acting. Everybody's forced to act. They went to university, or they watched a lot of fictional shows, and they're in the know. They know what's going on. so they think. It's pretty hard to break through. I haven't been able to really, not to any degree. I haven't been able to say, hey, you're brainwashed and you're in a blackout. When you wake up, you're going to see all and feel all. Can I bring your attention to your story? Can you please take a look at your own story? Stop worshiping idol stories, stars outside of you. I take a look at the moon again, and I wonder if it isn't it's a projector. It's a projector, and we're reflections. Those little lights are recording your story for the big movie. I don't think they could invent Hollywood. How could they invent movies to watch and manifest? How, I wondered. Unless they're God. And because we do manifest from our imagination. And it comes to find out we all are God. Everybody. Even the ones creating this chaos, they're all of God to begin with. But eventually those pupils, they go dim. You'll notice in some people's pupils are a lot dimmer than others. Or maybe there's no more light in there at all and they're just robotically working toward their final end. Because without light, there is no life. Without light, there is no life. And you can get your light back with love and living in the truth. I hope I've been clear on that. And that if you want to live in your own imagination, imagine standing up and walking out of the Garden of Eden and all of her ugly, vile, sickening fantasies there that man put upon your mother. And rebuke it. Do something to make yourself proud in your imagination, if not out loud, in your social circles. Do it in your imagination. Feel it, yourself rebuking what has happened here. But if you want to continue to blame your mothers, then the circle will never, your emotional lives will continue. You must become aware of the consciousness of evil against your Creator here before you can move on emotionally. Emotion can be heaven or it can be hell. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. But I'm not going to be doing any videos at least for several days. Maybe I'll pull one out, a cooking show or something. I'll show you what I'm going to cook. I got a new machine to make my own CBD oil now. And maybe when I start that, I'll do a show here and there to help boost the spirit. But keep your eyes open, be aware, be sovereign to your body, and be aware that you are responsible. At the end of the day, after you're an adult, you are expected to feel that you are responsible for this earth and for your mind, body, and soul, unless you've turned it over to someone else. That's the bottom line. Unless you've turned it over to, I call it GOM, government of man. It's not God here, it's government of man. And without the freedom to express yourself, there is nothing. So that's why I don't want to do it here anymore. I want to do it on my little brother typewriter and go into myself with the love I feel that we're losing.